Hi, welcome into today's CAD lesson. In today's exercise, we would model a steel structure with stairs. We'll start by creating the 3D skeleton in a part template and then use the frame generator in an assembly to insert the structural members. Along the way, we would also learn some 3D drawing techniques. I hope you stick with me to the end. If you would have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can leave them down in the comment section below. I would respond to them as soon as possible. Let's go ahead and begin with today's exercise. Let's get a worksheet, Ctrl+N on new app here. We begin with a standard millimeter IPT part template, and so under part create 2D and 3D object. Under the metric template, just select the last one, standard IPT, and create. This sketch is going to be in 3D. Let's drop down the Start 2D Sketch option and pick the Start 3D Sketch. Now we can pick the line command and create the sketch on the XZ plane. We'll click on that. Now let's begin to draw. You can pick any point. I'll pick this point right here. Let's draw a line of length 3,600 and enter that. But I want to restrict the movement of these lines in the X, Y, or Z axis. Let's go down here and pick the option that says auto mode that restricts the cursor movement to the X, Y, or the Z axis. Now my sketch will be a little bit easy to create. I'll zoom in. Let me go along the X axis also to a length of 3,600 and enter. I'll go the Z axis to a distance of 3,600 and then back to where we started drawing from. You can now right click and then OK. Now we want to create the legs. Let's pick the line command again and pick our point. So from this point, I would come down to a distance of 3,600. Right click and restart. So you can pick another point here. Also come down to that same distance. You right click. Let's restart. Now let's pick this point here and come down also to a distance of 3,600. We will pick another point, but before that, right click, restart. Let's pick this point and also come down to that same distance of 3,600. Right click and now we can OK. Next, we will pick the points command. Let's place points on all the vertical lines. And we will dimension the distance between the tip of the vertical line and the point is going to be 960. Also between this point and this very one, you don't have to even type, you just select the 960. It would replicate that here and you can check. Also between this point and that, we'll select the 960 and check. In that case, in the future when we change this length, it would affect all these. Let's do the last one also between those 2 points is 960. Let's check. Now let's pick the line command again and connect all the points. You can right click and OK. In the next step, we would need to put some lines here to provide support between this line and that line. Let me show you how that will look. So these are the frame members I'm talking about. These ones. Let me close this. Let's now pick the line command. Let's connect any line on this vertical line to this line passing in the x-axis and dimension that. The angle is going to be 45. The distance between this point and that point is 600. Let's enter that. You can zoom in. Let's pick the line command again and do same here. Making sure you are logged onto those two lines. The angle is 45. The distance between this point and that point is 600. We do same here. We pick the line command and dimension. Let's pick this angle and check. And the distance here is going to be specified as 600. So let's just right click and OK. If we place that dimension, it would over constrain the sketch. We would also do same here. Let's pick the line command and connect this point to this line right here, and we will dimension the distance between the line and the vertical line is 45, and the distance between this point and that point is 600. Let's turn this around with the view cube so we can draw the opposite line. We pick the line command. Let's connect this point to the line here. We will dimension the angle as 45, and the distance here is going to be specified as 600. So let's just right click and OK. Pick the line command again. Maybe we should have drawn all the lines before we dimension, but that is fine. You can go through them one after the other. Here, my line is not constrained. If it happens like that, you can pick the coincident constraint command and say place this point right on this line, and now you can dimension as 600, but that is specified, so just right click and OK. And now the last line, we pick the line command, this point to that point, and dimension angle as 45, and this length is specified. You can right click and OK. Now let's see. Next, let's pick the line command. Let's draw a vertical line from this point to a length of 1440. Let's enter. We would move along the z-axis to a distance of 3600. Let's enter that and then come back to this point. You can right click and then restart. This time from this point, let's move along the x-axis to a distance of 3600. Let's enter and come back to this point here. You can right click and restart. This time from this point, let's move along the x-axis also to a distance of 3600. Let's enter that and then connect that with this point here. You can right click and then let's restart. Now we want to connect vertically the midpoint of this top line to the midpoint of the line here. You right click, let's restart to connect also this point to that point. Let's restart another line and connect the midpoint here to the midpoint of that line beneath it. Let's restart another line. This time let's draw a line along the z-axis to a distance of 2600. Let's enter that. You can right click and then OK. Now let's pick the point command again and put a point on this line and dimension the distance between the first point we place and the second point as the 2600. So just check that dimension and divide it by 2 and check that. Now we can pick the line command. Let's connect a line from this point to the midpoint of the top line. You can right click and then OK. Next, we pick the line command, and from this point here, let me zoom in or even turn it around a little bit so I know I'm selecting the right point. From the midpoint here, let me get the isometric view. Let's connect it on the x-axis to the midpoint of that vertical line. We would move along the z-axis and also connect to the midpoint of that vertical line. Move along the x-axis. Let's connect it to the midpoint of this vertical line as well. And then we come back and connect to the midpoint of this vertical line right here. You can right click and OK. Now we would create the profiles for the stairs. Let me pick the line command and begin to draw the line from this point here. I'll just click, but make sure you turn off this option here that says auto mode so we don't restrict our movement anymore. Now let's get the XY plane So we restrict our movement to that plane and even get the front view. Let me pan to the left. Let's draw a line here and go up perpendicular to that to a distance of 300. We would connect that back to this point here. You can right click and OK. We would dimension the angle between these two lines as 60 and enter that. Now for this line here, before that, let's just get off the dimension command. For this very line, we would make it constructional. Let me get the isometric view. We would do same on this point also. We will pick the line command. Let's select the point, which is going to be this point here. We restrict our movement to the XY plane, so I'll just select that plane. Let's now go down to a distance of 3600. We would enter that. We will go along the x-axis. Let's just click and now go up to a distance of 300. Let's enter that. Let's connect that back to the point where we started from. We would now dimension the angle between this line and this very one as 60. Let's right click. Sorry, let me cancel this. I think we got this dimension wrong, so just double click on that and change that to 300 and enter. There, everything looks fine now. Okay, so what we want to do now is to make some lines constructional. Let's select this line, hold down control, we will select this and make them constructional. Now our skeletal profile is ready. We can go ahead and place the frame members. Before we do that, let's save this work, and so I'll finish the sketch and save this in a folder I have prepared as the skeleton. Now we begin an assembly. Let me click on new up here, and under assembly, assemble 2D and 3D components, select the standard MMIAM and create. Now we have to bring in the skeleton we just did. For that, we click on place and locate wherever you save the skeleton. For me, there it is here. I see the preview. Let me open, and you can click inside here to place it. You can right click and OK. If the dimensions are so much making this not clear, let's go back into the skeleton. What we will do is to click on the 3D sketch. Let's right click and we will turn off the dimension visibility. Now this looks fine. I'll go back into the assembly template. Now let's begin placing our frame members. Let's go into the design tab and choose insert frame. It says we have to save this assembly before we go ahead, and so we'll say yes and save this as assembly 1. Let me save that and say yes to all and OK. Now let's go through these details. We want to select the lines we want to place this frame member on, but before that, let's select the category, which is going to be a square tube, and so we'll select the square or rectangular tube. For the standard, we'll keep the ISO standards. The family also ISO. That detail, let me drop this down and choose the square structural steel. I'll select that. For the size, let me drop this down and do 120 by 120 by 8. Where is that? That is here. And let me select those lines I want to place this particular frame member on, which is going to be this one, that one, this, and that. Let me get the top view. Okay, that is fine. Let me get the isometric view, but I think the size is a little bit small. I'll drop this down and increase it to 140 by 140 by 8. That also looks a little bit small. Let's drop it down and see what we can do. 150 by 150 by 8. Let me maintain this. Let's click now on the plus sign. Let's OK, and then OK. Now we would select other frame members on these lines as well. We'll click on the plus sign and OK. Now on these lines also, Let's click on the plus sign and okay, we want to select them as groups. Let's cancel for now. I'm going to change the view and the visual style to shaded with edges. Now let's define the end conditions of these frame members we've added. Let's go back into the design tab and use the option that says trim and extend. Now we want to say that to this face, let's trim this frame member and this one as well. We'll click on the plus sign. Let me turn this around and also say that to this face, trim this frame member and that frame member. Let's click on the plus sign. Also to this face, we want to trim this frame member and that one. We'll click on the plus sign. Let me turn this around. So here we are left to trim this particular frame member and that one. So we'll turn around so we get a good selection of the face. We want to trim it to this face. Let's select this frame member and that one, and we can okay. Let's get the isometric view. Now we'll pick the trim and extend command again. Let me turn this around. Also to this face, we want to trim off all of these frame members. Let's okay. Let me get the isometric view. Now let's look at these top frame members also. We would use the miter command and select all four of them so it applies the miter end condition to them. Now we can okay. Okay, so there we have it. Nice and neatly done. Now let's insert some more frame members to these lines. I would select all 8 of them. The same details as we applied to the other frame members. Now we can okay. Let's okay again. Let's trim and extend. Let me turn this around and select this face. We can now select all frame members. And okay. Alright. I don't think I would want to do this, but you can also trim these ends as well. So you would select this face, you trim this, and probably that one you will turn around, select the other faces. I think I would leave you to do that. Now let's insert some more frame members, which is going to be, let's select this and that. But here we want to change the size to, let's do let's say 70 by 5. There we go. I would also select this and that. Let's okay. And then we would okay again. Okay, that looks fine. But let's change the end condition. So we want to trim extend to this face, this frame member, and that one. Let's okay. We would also apply the miter condition to these two and also that. Let's okay. Let me double click to get my work in focus. We want to insert some more frame members. Let's now change the category. We want to do a round tube, and let me select the line and change the size. Let me scroll down. Let's do 76 and see how that looks. That looks a little bit small. Let's go down 168. 168 isn't so bad, but I would reduce that to about 114 by 6. I think this is going to be fine. Let me select all vertical lines at the top. We would click on the plus sign and OK. Now we would select these lines also and let's OK. We would OK. Okay, our work is taking shape. Now let's change the end conditions of some of them. Let's do the miter to the top lines. I'll also miter again this tube and that one. Let's click on the plus sign and also this and that. Let's OK. I'll leave you to finish the rest. Also, let's do the face. Let's trim and extend to this face. I want to trim these vertical tube frame members. And we can OK. Let me double click the scroll mouse button. We left out some profiles. We go back into the skeleton and do that. So click on that tab down here. Now we want to double click the 3D sketch so we have access to that. Let's pick the line command and pick a point where we want to begin this sketch. So any point on this line is fine. Let's restrict the movement. Let's pick the option here, auto mode, and drop that down so we are logged onto this line here. If it's becoming difficult, you can just leave it here. So we would apply a constraint, right click and then restart another line. Also on that same line, let's drop it here. We want to apply a constraint. You can right click and then restart. Also to the opposite slanted line will do same, just click. We want to cap down, let's drop that here. We would restart another line. From this point we would come down, let's drop that here. You right click and then OK. Now we pick the coincidence constraints command to say that place this point on this line. Would also do same for this point and this line. Also place this point on this line and then also place this point on this line. Right click and OK. Now let's place in this particular dimension, though it over constrains the sketch, but just click it and say accept. Now we would close this. We would use the dimension command again between this point and this point. Let's come down and say that we want this dimension to be this very one we just placed divided by 3. Let's check that. Also between this point here and this point, we would need this same division. Let's check that. Also between this point and this point here, let's give it the same dimension and check. Also between this point and that one, we would give it this same dimension and check. Now that is it. We can go ahead and finish this and go back into our assembly. There we have those lines. We would insert the frame members. So insert frame. We want to change the category to the square. Now let's pick the family as the structural steel square and the size. We will pick the 70 by 70 by 5. Let's select this line, also this, that one and that, and we can OK. Let's OK again. Let's trim and extend. Turn this around and select this face and all those frame members we just added. Let me get the isometric view for a good selection, which is going to be this, that, also this one and that one. and I can OK. Now we would turn our attention to the stairs. We would create that within this assembly template. So let's go into our assembly tab and click on create. Now we would save this as steps and browse our sheet template like we would do if we're selecting from the home. Let's go into our metric tab and choose the standard millimeter IPT. Let's OK. We can OK again. Now we will select the face we want to create this sketch, which is going to be this face. You now right click. Let's choose new sketch. Let me zoom in and pick the XY plane, which is this very one, so I can create my sketch there. Now we will pick the line command and draw this profile here. The length of this line is going to be 6. We would enter that. We'll move up perpendicular to that to a distance of 80. Let's enter that. Let's move perpendicular to that horizontally to a distance of 212. Let's enter. We'll come back down perpendicular to a distance of 80. Let's enter that. Let's go perpendicular to the left to a distance of 6. We would enter. We'll go up also to a distance of 70. Let's enter. Now we will come this way to a distance of 200. Let's enter. And we will connect to this point. You can right click and OK. Now let's project this line here, so we can use it to constrain vertically the midpoint here and this very point, and also dimension the distance between this line and this point as 230 and enter. Now our sketch is fully constrained. We can go ahead and finish it. Double click your scroll mouse button and we want to extrude that profile. So the extrude command, the profile has been selected. The direction is fine. For the distance, we want to define that with the option that says 2, and we will turn it around and select it up to this face. The preview is fine, and so we would OK. Let's get the isometric view. Now we are within this part sheet template. We want to return to the main assembly, and so we choose return up here. We want to now pattern this. Let's choose the pattern command. This is going to be a rectangular pattern. Let's select the profile we want to pattern, which is going to be this one. And we want to select also the column it should go along. Let's pick this one and specify the count as 26. The distance between them should be 255. And let's flip the direction around. The preview is fine. Let's OK. Awesome. Next, we want to put a sheet metal on this face. Let me zoom in and go into create. We would save this as the stage. Let me browse the template. Under metric tab, choose standard MMIPT. Let's OK. We can OK again. Let's place that on this face. You can then right click and choose new start. And let's place it also on this face. Let me get the top view and even zoom in. Let's pick the project geometry command and project the outermost lines here. This one also, we would project this, and then finally that one would also project the outer diameter of the pipes that sits on top of this part. So there we have the first one. Pan towards the left. Let's see if we can find the second one here. Also third one, there we go. And then finally this one. Now I can finish and extrude. The extrude command, the profile is this one to a distance of 10 mm. Let me OK and return to the main assembly. We need to turn off the visibility of this plane. You can just double click. Let's select that plane, right click and choose turn off visibility and return to the main assembly. Finally, we would put some end caps. Let's go back into our design tab, insert end cap. Let's select the first face. We want to put that end cap. I would select this face. There I have an end cap. Let's go through the details. The profile is going to be the filleted corners. The fillet is 15 mm. The thickness is 20, which I think is a little bit too much, or I think I'll keep that. The size also is offset profile to a distance of -5 mm. You can just specify these details. Now we would select the other faces, which is going to be this one, also that, and then that one. We can apply same to the others. Let me select this, also that, and then the other two. Okay, also these and that. Let's okay, and okay again. Let's get the isometric view. Now we want to hide these sketches. Let's just locate it from here. It says skeleton. Open that. Select the 3D, right click, and we'll turn off the visibility. Now we have a clean work. Our sketch is finally ready. Oh no, not yet. Let's go back into the skeleton tab and double click the 3D sketch. We want to add some lines. We pick the line command, draw a vertical line from this point to a distance of 1440. Let's enter. We would connect that to this point here. You can right click and OK. Let me turn this so we get a good view of what we've done. Now I'll pick the line command again also from this point. Let's go up 1440. Let's enter and connect that to this point. These are the rails or the lines for the rails. You can right click and OK. Let's get a front view so we see what we have done. These are the lines we just drawn. Let's finish this sketch, get the isometric view. Now I'll go into my assembly tab, but I have to turn on the visibility of that sketch again. So just select, right click, and choose visibility. Now we would insert the frame members. Go into the design tab, insert frame. Now let's choose the category as the round tube. Let's change the size from here to 76.1 by 5, and so there it is. I'll select that. Let me select the lines I want to put these frame members to, this one and that one, also this and that. We can OK and OK again. Now let's trim. We would select the face, this face, this frame member, that one. Let's OK. We would also miter this corner, also that one. Let's OK. Now we are completely done. Let's now turn off the visibility of this sketch. Let's locate it from the model browser. There it is. Click, right click, and choose turn off visibility. Now I'll go ahead and apply the appearance to the individual frame members. What I will do is to select them together here, go into the appearance and choose the particular appearance I want. I'm going to speed this part up. I've gone ahead as well to do a basic rendering, so I included under view, shadows, reflection, a ground plane, and the lightning effect. I changed that to a default light. Okay, this looks good. Let's even turn this around. Okay, and so that's going to be it for this tutorial. I hope this has been helpful. If it has, kindly consider giving me a thumbs up. Also, do want to subscribe to the channel if you are yet to do that. If you would have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can leave them down in the comment section below. I would respond to them as soon as possible. Don't forget to share this with your card friends and save this. I'm going to see you soon in the next tutorial. Bye.